What if I told you the thing you are sacrificing to get more done is the exact thing making you worse at everything? That is sleep. And by the end of this, you will know what breaks first when you keep pretending it is optional. Sleep is not rest, it is maintenance. While you lie there doing nothing, your brain and body are doing some of the most important work of your life. That is why the modern attitude toward sleep is so insane. We treat it like wasted time, something soft people need, something ambitious people can cut. But if you keep stealing from sleep, you are not buying more life. You are quietly burning the machinery that makes life possible. And that is why 8 hours of sleep may matter more than your workout. Because exercise can build the system, sleep is what repairs it. Without repair, even a strong system starts to fail. Here is something most people do not know. Your brain has a cleaning shift. During deep sleep, it begins clearing metabolic waste that builds up during the day. Think of it as a nighttime sanitation system. All day long, your brain burns energy, produces byproducts, and accumulates junk. At night, when sleep is deep enough, that waste gets flushed out. This is why a good night of sleep feels so different from simply lying in bed. You do not just feel less tired, you feel clearer, lighter, more like yourself, because the system actually reset. Now flip that around. What happens if you keep cutting sleep? The cleanup gets delayed, the waste piles up, your thinking gets slower, your focus gets weaker, your judgment gets noisier. And over time, that is no longer just an energy problem. It becomes a brain health problem. Sleep loss also attacks memory in a much more direct way. Most people think learning happens while they study. That is only half true. You may take in the material while you are awake, but a lot of the real sorting happens after. During sleep, your brain replays, organizes, and stabilizes what mattered. Important connections get reinforced. Irrelevant noise gets pushed aside. Without that process, you do not just feel foggy. You retain less. You integrate less. You become worse at turning information into usable knowledge. This is why staying up all night to study is such a stupid trade. It feels disciplined. It feels intense. It feels like sacrifice. But in reality, you are destroying the exact function you need the next day. The brain you bring into the exam is not the same brain you had the afternoon before. It is a less coherent version, less stable, less sharp, less capable of recall. And this is not just about the brain. Your body uses sleep the same way. Repair accelerates, hormonal regulation improves, immune activity rises, your heart gets a break, your blood pressure comes down. Your entire system shifts from performance mode into restoration mode. That shift is not a luxury, it is infrastructure. Which means chronic sleep deprivation is not just about feeling awful in the morning. It changes the whole biological environment you live inside. You become emotionally unstable. You crave junk. Your metabolism breaks. Your immune system weakens. The cost shows up everywhere. In your mood, in your decisions, in your patience, in your long-term health. That is what makes the cultural worship of sleep deprivation so backwards. We praise the late nights. We romanticize exhaustion. We treat sleep like an obstacle to productivity. But the truth is almost the opposite. Sleep is not what gets in the way of performance. It is what makes performance possible for more than one day in a row. A person who sleeps well is not being lazy. They are protecting their cognition, protecting their emotional control, protecting their immune system, protecting their future self. So, if you want a more useful question, here it is. Not, how little can I sleep and still function? Ask, what breaks first when I keep pretending sleep is optional? Because the answer is not just your energy. It is your clarity, your memory, your judgment, your metabolism, your resilience. Eventually, it is your life. We spend a third of our existence asleep. That sounds wasteful only if you do not understand what sleep is doing. Once you do, it starts to look less like lost time and more like the invisible foundation under everything else. You can skip a workout, you can miss one productive morning, you can recover from a bad day, But if you keep treating sleep like dead time, you slowly become a worse version of yourself in every domain that matters. Sleep is not passive. Sleep is your repair shop. And if you keep closing the shop, do not act surprised when the machine starts falling apart. That is the foundation. But knowing what sleep does is only half the picture. The other half is what happens when you keep ignoring it. Because sleep deprivation does not just make you tired. It rewires how you feel, how you eat, and how your body stores energy. Your emotions become unstable. Your hunger signals break. Your metabolism shifts into survival mode. And over time, that is not just discomfort, it is damage. In part 2, we will look at the darker side of sleep loss, the cascading failures most people do not connect to their late nights, and more importantly, what actually works to fix it. Not hacks, not supplements, just the mechanics of better sleep and why some of the most successful people on the planet treat it like non-negotiable infrastructure. If you are still treating sleep like optional, the next part might change that. So, subscribe!